I was walking out of the supermarket that day, with 2 heavy plastic bags pulling at my arms. My feet felt tired from a long day, and all I wanted was to reach the car and go home. The parking lot was just across the road. That is when I saw her. She was sitting on the cracked footpath in front of an old abandoned building, legs crossed tightly, head bent low, hair dirty and matted into clumps, face so thin that her cheekbones looked sharp. She wore the same old blue jacket she used to love back in college days. Now it hung loose on her like it belonged to someone else. My heart stopped beating for a second. It was Aisha, my younger sister Aisha, the same Aisha who used to laugh so loudly that the whole house would fill with her voice. The same Aisha who won a full scholarship to medical college when she was only 19 and made our parents cry with pride. The same Aisha who vanished 15 years ago, after leaving one short message on my phone. Don't look for me. I'm sorry. I stood there like a statue. The bags almost slipped from my hands. People walked past her without even glancing. She was invisible to them, just another shadow on the street. I felt my stomach turn. For 15 years I had imagined her living some careless life. Maybe she got into drugs. Maybe she ran away with bad friends. Maybe she simply stopped caring about family. I had carried quiet anger toward her all this time. Deep inside my chest I blamed her for breaking our parents' hearts and for leaving me to answer questions from relatives. And now here she was, broken, thin, lost, sitting on the dirty ground like the world had forgotten her. I walked toward her slowly. My voice came out weak. Aisha. She lifted her head. Her eyes grew big for one moment. Then she quickly turned her face away, like she had seen something dangerous. Go away, she whispered. Please go. But how could I go? I lowered myself to the ground right next to her. The bags touched the pavement. She smelled of old smoke and days without a bath. I did not care. I'm not leaving, I said. Not until you tell me why. She gave a small broken laugh. You don't want to hear it. I spent 15 years believing you hated us. I think I deserve the truth. She stayed quiet for a long time. Cars passed. People talked on phones as they walked by. Finally she started speaking. Her voice was so low I had to lean closer to hear. It began during her 3rd year of internship. She was working night shifts at a big private hospital in the city. One late night she walked past an operation theater that was supposed to be empty. The door was slightly open. She saw people inside, not saving a life, taking lives apart, kidneys, livers, corneas, everything, packed carefully into cool boxes. Rich patients waiting in private rooms. Poor people brought in with promises of jobs or free treatment. People who never left the building alive. She froze. Then she quietly took photos with her phone. She wrote down dates, times, names she heard. She thought she could report it to the police or some authority. She thought she could stop it. The very next morning 2 men came to her hostel room. They were polite. They smiled. They wore clean clothes. They showed her photographs. Me picking up my daughter from school. My husband walking out of his office. My mother sitting on the veranda at home. They spoke softly. If she ever spoke about what she saw my family would pay, not hers. They gave her 2 paths. Run far away and disappear forever, or become someone no one would ever believe again. She chose the second path. She started acting strange on purpose. She missed duties. She talked to herself in front of others. She pretended to hear voices. She bought cheap drugs from the street just to look the part. One day they caught her high in the hospital corridor. They fired her quickly. Then the hospital spread the story themselves. Brilliant student lost her mind. Tragic case of schizophrenia. Family could not handle her. Friends slowly left. She moved deeper into the streets. She slept in night shelters, under bridges, in empty plots. She ate whatever she found. She made sure she looked crazy. She made sure she smelled crazy. She made sure people stayed away. Because as long as she was the mad woman on the street, anything she said about organ theft would sound like nonsense from a sick mind. And the most important rule she followed was to stay far from me. Never call. Never message. Never let anyone think she still loved us or cared. Because if they saw even a little connection, they would come for us again. When she finished speaking, her hands were shaking. She looked at me with eyes full of tears. I thought if you hated me, you would stay safe. I thought it was better you believed I was selfish than to lose you. I could not speak. My throat felt tight. The anger I had carried for 15 years cracked open and fell apart. Tears started coming down my face. Quiet tears. I did not wipe them. I reached for her hand. It was cold and rough like sandpaper. You are coming home with me, I said. Right now. She shook her head. They still watch sometimes. If they see me with you, then let them see, I said. I am not losing you again. I helped her stand. She was so light it scared me. We walked to my car. She kept looking over her shoulder every few steps. In the car she sat, stiffly staring out the window, like she expected someone to appear any moment. When we reached home, I told her to take a bath. I gave her my clothes. I made simple rice and dal. She ate slowly, carefully, like she was afraid the food would disappear. After eating, she sat on the sofa and cried. Not loud, just quiet, shaking sobs for a long time. The next morning, I took her to a small clinic, not the big hospital. A doctor I trusted. He checked her, did blood tests, found malnutrition, infections, damage from years of drugs and no proper food or sleep. But no schizophrenia, no permanent mental illness, just a body and mind that had been through hell. It took months. Doctor visits, medicines, good food, rest, long talks at night. When she could not sleep, she told me more details. Names she remembered, dates of surgeries, places where poor people were taken. She had hidden one small notebook long ago, buried it under a tree in a quiet park far from the city. One weekend we went together. We dug in the soil with our hands. The notebook was still there, pages damp but the writing clear. Names of doctors, amounts paid, dates, enough to start something real. I did not rush. I was afraid too. But I found a journalist who had written about missing people in slums before. I showed him only a few pages at first. His face went pale. He said, "This is huge. Very huge." We made copies, kept the original safe. Slowly the story started moving. First small articles appeared. Then questions were asked quietly. Then bigger reports came. One doctor was arrested. Then another. A hospital director tried to flee but police caught him at the airport. Aisha stayed mostly inside. She was still scared, but she started smiling again. Small smiles at first. She gained some weight. Her eyes looked brighter. She began helping my daughter with school work. She laughed sometimes. Real laughs that filled the house. One evening she said to me, "I never thought I would get to live like this again." I held her hand tightly. "You did not just live. You kept me alive too. Every day you suffered so I could be safe." She cried again. This time I cried with her. The big trial started 2 years later. Many powerful names came out. Doctors, hospital owners, politicians who took money, businessmen who arranged patients. They tried to say Aisha was not reliable, that she was mentally ill. But the notebook, the old photos she saved on a small drive, witnesses who finally spoke because the fear was breaking. They could not bury it anymore. Some went to jail. Some lost their jobs and money. The hospital shut down. New rules came for organ donation. It was not perfect. Nothing ever is. But it was a beginning. Aisha never went back to being a doctor. Her body carried too many scars. Her mind too. But she started working at a small NGO that helps people living on the streets. She listens to them. She gives them food, medicine, hope. She understands their pain better than anyone. Last week she came home with a small cake. It was my birthday. My daughter lit the candles. Aisha sang the song off key and we all laughed. We ate together, simple and loud and full of life. When I look at her now, I do not see the broken woman sitting on the street anymore. I see my sister, the one who carried the darkest secret alone for 15 years so that I could live without fear. I still feel guilty sometimes, for the years I hated her, for the nights I cursed her name, for believing the worst. But every time I try to say sorry, she stops me. She says, "You are here, I am here, that is enough." And maybe she is right. Before I finish, I want to ask you something. What do you think about this story? Have you ever known someone who sacrificed everything for family? Tell me in the comments which city you are watching from. If this story touched you, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps me keep sharing stories like this. Thank you so much for listening. See you in the next one.